Welcome to the channel. I'm Dave and this is Road Garage. So today we're back on our first trip of the year in Little Sahara here in Utah, and we have the brand new 2024 Maverick R. So this will be our first time taking it out. We're gonna, one, have a bunch of fun with it and just blast around, but also we're gonna give you a little review of how we think it compares to my X3. So we are here at Sand Mountain and we're gonna drag race. I wanna see how well my new Can Am Maverick R does against my 2018 XRC. This XRC has an Evo Stage 3 tune in it and clutching, exhaust, and a blow-off valve. So it's making right around 195 to 200 horse. So again, I am totally stocked other than just the paddle tires. I haven't even touched the suspension. All right, well, first run up the mountain, of course, we knew it was going to, but it made it up on top of the mountain. So we are on the top of Sand Mountain out here at Little Sahara. Sand Mountain's roughly 500 feet high, and you can see from behind me, they got a big, massive campground behind us. It's been a few weeks since we did our trip. I'm going out to the dunes, taking this awesome new Maverick R out for the first time, and it was a ton of fun. We came back, everybody had a good time. Wanted to give you just a little bit of a review of what I thought and how it compared to my other X3, my 2C. Get a comparison where we go from one machine to the next. So that's what we did. So one, try and kind of go over just a few of the things that I really liked with this, maybe a couple things that I didn't, and then some of the mods and stuff that we've already done to it, and what the plan is as far as the build and where we're going with it on the channel, and just for what I like and what's fun. So to start, you know, what we did, I mean, we were going to the dunes, so I needed to get a set of Dune tires and wheels. So I've got these awesome three-piece forged metal effects beadlock wheels. These are, it's a 15 by 7 in the front and a 15 by 10 in the back. And with the offset of these, I am a whopping 83 inches wide in the front, and I'm 89 inches in the back. It is super wide. Matter of fact, it's so wide with this Dune setup that I can't even get it on my open trailer. We just put these on once we get out there. But it really made it stable. It feels really solid side hilling. Some of the things that I really, really like with this machine on the trail. So big whoops and that just kind of bombing the trail. It felt very smooth. And initially I didn't even adjust shock settings, compression, rebound, any of it. Actually better than my X3. And on my X3, to kind of give you my comparison here, is I have a stage 3 Evo tune, so it's basically making 200 horse on pump gas. I have the shock therapy spring set up, so I have their custom springs. Going back to the new Maverick, out of everything, that is the biggest change that I've seen with this suspension wise is the steering. The steering, I can literally be going through whoops one-handed. The steering is so light and so easy. Even with these wheels with the bigger offset, which actually created a little bit more scrub, the steering was just super smooth, easy. You know, you're not hitting stuff and it wanting to yank the steering wheel out of your hands. Where I definitely power-wise, this does make from the factory more power. So it's 240 horse versus my 200 horse of the X3, but power to weight ratio, it's about the same. We drag raced, which we can show you a clip of that. We drag raced up the hill. The first time we drag raced, he launched on me and this thing was still kind of spooling up, and he got out on me, and then we went up and he actually beat me going up the hill on the first time. And then I got a better launch on the second one and ended up being even. And then kind of by the end, I kind of figured out a couple of the transmission things on how to get it to pull harder up the hills with this DCT. And I ended up being faster. So it's all in all, you know, it's about the same power to weight ratio with this being stock. Now my X3, you know, it's got the 200 horse tune, which is for the most part about as far as you're going to be able to go with that on pump gas. This will be able to have some room in it to make some more power, still being able to run pump gas. Some of the things that maybe I don't like as much, and really it's not even necessarily I don't like, but having to get used to, because I was very used to the X3 with the whole belt system, which I didn't love the belt system because I seemed to bust a belt at least one a trip, is the shifting. So like the biggest difference was when I was climbing the mountain, the really big stuff. If I was wide open throttle and it started slowing down, it wouldn't shift down on me. And then I even tried to pull the paddle to get it to shift, but I also found that it did not want to shift down if I was wide open throttle. It was actually not until the second day of the trip that I was trying and kind of messing with stuff, just popping the throttle off for that half a second and then hitting the paddle. That got it to where I could shift down, and that made all the difference in the world. And then I was able to keep that engine in that peak power RPM, where before it was kind of bogging down and the RPM was getting pulled down, and it wasn't shifting down on its own. And I wasn't able to shift it down either, which made it obviously a lot slower. Once I figured out that, it made all the difference in the world for pulling. So a little bit of a learning curve going from one machine to the next with this DCT transmission. I am super excited about not having a belt to replace, and I'm really liking the ability to control my RPM. I love all the tech in this, that big screen, the gauges, all of that is awesome. It's really kind of fun as you're going through the whoops, seeing these big arms popping up and down. That's kind of a fun thing. It did pretty dang good on all the trails, and we actually did a side-by-side. On the second day, did start pushing it to the point where I was starting to bottom out the rear suspension on G-outs and at the bottoms of hills when I was really ripping it hard, and then even some of the big stuff I was hitting with the front I was bottoming out. So I ended up cranking the compression on both of the shocks almost up to max, and that seemed to help. I think I'll probably end up wanting to adjust the springs a little bit too, give it just a little bit more ride height, just so that I don't bottom out. But that was the only adjustment I ended up doing while I was out there. One thing, you know, there's a ton of this machine that is just completely different from the X3. But the one thing that is the same is the seats. So the seats, they use the same seats as they had in the X3. For everything I can see, they did. So I actually had these nice PRP seats that I really loved in my X3, and I pulled those out with the brackets, everything. They came right out, and I bolted them right in. The adapter plate, everything I've got for them bolted right into this, and then I actually put the seats that were in this back in that one. So it's got some nice new seats in it as well for me to sell it. My plans for this, as far as a build goes, is doing a tune. I'm going to do a tune of some sort. They seem to be the ones that have one so far. We'll see if anybody else, by the time I'm ready to pull the trigger on it, has one. But I know that all the way up on race gas, they're getting right around 300 horse or so at the tires with this, which I mean is like another 100 horsepower over what this makes, which I think would be really awesome. I'm gonna end up doing some exhaust on it and an intake. I've got a custom graphic livery that we're gonna be doing that's gonna be all road garage. A little bit like the Mountain Dew Celine, where we've got a QR and different things to be able to promote and put our name out there, so we'll have all the road garage stuff on there. We're still working on color combos and all that, so we'll have that on a reveal. All in all, I love the machine. There's just some of those things of it being a new and different machine that, you know, I kind of had to get used to, but it was really great. Never had a single issue with it while we were out there. We'll see you on the next one.